Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Today we are going to do Puru Paksh of Mahabharat based on a very famous writer from Maharashtra. And we are going to talk in detail and see the stories, the narratives, the dates, many things we're going to discuss on that. Puru Paksh means due diligence based on the prior evidences. Now, today we have a very famous author and guest and a good friend. I call him a Muni researcher, whatever you call it, but a very intelligent person with deep research they have. So, without delay, let us welcome Shri Nilesh Neelkanth Oak.
Namaskar, Aditya ji.
Namaskar.
Always a pleasure to be on this show. And now we have started a new series, right, from the last time, the Poorva Paksha, how to do a good review. And today we will discuss a good researcher, someone who did phenomenal work on the Mahabharata, the longest epic of humanity, 400 years ago. 400 years ago.
Yeah, 400 years back, most of the Europe was in diapers, you can say, because they were not able, they were trying to find out their own selves, most of them.
Yeah, there were few who were just trying to come out of diapers, like, so Kepler and Copernicus and Tycho Brahe and Newton, so yeah, there were few.
Yeah, I'm talking about historical and philosophical diapers, not literally.
That's right.
Thank you for correcting me there. Now, the most of the Europe was still in the, you can say, dark ages. According to themselves, they were in dark ages.
Yes.
And
the Enlightenment, according to even the extremely biased and for as far as the Hindu civilization or Indian civilization or most of the world civilizations go, a very wrong information, a wrong source of information, Wikipedia, will also say that the Enlightenment, European Enlightenment came in 1637 and afterwards.
And they are the ones who comment on Bhakti movement, history of Bhakti movement. And then one of the things I say, Bhakti started from Brahma, not from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's right from there. He is just the revival of the ancient philosophy. Now, there are a lot of people like that who speak about, especially the Wikipedia and Quora, like learning Vedic history of Mahabharata from them is like drinking water from a poisoned well. And then you only get the bad results after that. And so most of the people, they try to discuss with you based on the Quora evidences, and naturally they're going to get fall, because the moment they start discussing, they put ism on top of it. And the ism means itself that it was never a logical conclusion. And people may question me on that's the way English is written, but still we have to start questioning English also based on the untranslatables now. The many, some people are already commenting on it. So Nilesh, let's get started there. So,
okay.
So we're going to Puru Paksha of Mahabharata based on the 400-year-old text.
Right. And so you refer to isms, and one thing I thought I'll mention that is anytime one is embracing a certain ism, or one is fighting against another ism. I mean, that's what we have to do, and I don't find any problem with it, even embracing a certain ism. But what it typically means is, if you are not careful, you may develop an attachment to that ism, or you may develop a detestation, like a hate towards certain ism. Okay. And so Nyaya Darshana, one of the Shad Darshanas of the Indian Darshana system, the experiential system, like how to experience the world, it says Pravartana Lakshana Dosha, meaning only when you act, your faults are known. Until then, so there are some smart people, including, say, Mahabharata researchers, they will not say anything about it, so that you don't know whether the person is intelligent or not. All right. So last time we began with reviving this tradition of Purva Paksha. We are going to use this as an intuition engine, but actually through this series, we are going to explore many aspects of modern science, many aspects of Indian moral system, like a Niti Vichar, Okay. And we are also going to look at some of the aspects of karma yoga, like endurance in conduct, meaning why we have to do things. If we think we can make a difference in the world, we have to try it out, we have to do it. Okay. And then we make some corrections, like we try something, it does some good, it doesn't do everything good, we find where the problem is and we make a correction. So today I want to discuss a very interesting text. In fact, in a way, it is a foundation for the long foundation for what we have today as the longest epic of humanity, which is the Mahabharata.
Mm.
Just to give you an idea, I mean, to our audience, that if you combine the two Greek epics like Iliad and Odyssey together, and then multiply them 8 times, then you start getting some rough idea of how big is the Mahabharata text. Okay. Now, the particular person and the work that we are going to do a critical review on is, his name is Nilakantha Chaturdhar. If you notice, my middle name and that individual's name is the same. No relation, other than both of us come from Maharashtra. And of course, Aditya ji also originally comes from Maharashtra. And the book, it was his critique or a commentary on the Mahabharata. And the name of his book was Bharata Bhava Dwipa. Okay. Sometimes people have called it Deepika also, but Bharata Bhava Dwipa. So let me start sharing in a bigger format. Okay. So now last time, so that people can make connection, if those of you who are watching this as a series and those of you who will watch this as a series, the claims for the year of Mahabharata war range from like 400 CE, or the text of Mahabharata, we can say, from 400 CE all the way to 7300 BCE. And there are more than 130 different claims. What I'm going to show you today is, people ask, why so much variation? If you're looking at the evidence from the same text, yeah, we can understand some variation here and there. But my God, I mean, it's like from 400 CE to 7300. That is what, 7500 years of variation. It's just people making different claims as to when this historical event happened. First thing, because it is that big, right? This, many researchers don't even bother to read it. But one of the key cause of that variation is what we are going to discuss today. That is the Bharata Bhavadvipa of Nilakantha Chaturdhar. All right. So let's get into it. Now, before I go there, just to be clear, Nilakantha Chaturdhar, he did not come up with any dating. So he's like Aditya ji. Okay. He did not come up with his own date. But his goal was to, for a long time, nobody has done a job of collecting all the different text of Mahabharata, and he wanted to ensure that he had a good authentic copy of Mahabharata. So sometimes as the things get copied and recopied, the things, some errors get introduced because somebody cannot read the word, someone is trying to make it up. He wanted to clean the version, and he did a fabulous job. And we all should be, especially those people who are enthusiastic about Mahabharata, who are enthusiastic about Bhagavad Gita, they should be thankful to Nilakantha Chaturdhar. His timing was 400 years ago. Sorry, let me just go quickly through this framework, and we are going to revisit this every single time. So let me just fill this. Now, what is something unique about what we are going to discuss today is, of course, Nilakantha Chaturdhar does not have any claim. So obviously, he doesn't fit into any of these two brackets, like top right-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner. But he really does not fit into any of these brackets. So what I'm going to say is, where he fits is definitely on the right side. He was fearless, he was humble, he was very devout. Okay. And he was doing Purva Paksha, not so much for the dating, but Purva Paksha to get the authentic manuscript of the Mahabharata text. Okay. So he was he collected multiple manuscripts written in different scripts of India. Okay. And he collated into one neat edition of the Mahabharata text, which is what is practically used today in India or anywhere around the world, other than critical edition. So, just to give an example, the Gita Press would come very close to what Nilakantha Chaturdhar did 400 years ago. So, where does he fit? He fits definitely on the right side, and he doesn't have a claim, but what he was trying to do is the best approximation to the truth. He was trying to get to the best approximation to the original text of Vyasa. So in that sense, he was in the top right hand corner. Bottom right hand corner only in the sense that he did not claim any specific date, and his approach was very rigorous for his time and also in a very specific way. Keep in mind, he's not trying to date the Mahabharata war. He was trying to get the authentic copy of the Mahabharata war or the Mahabharata text, the create a copy. Okay, so he was we don't know exactly his birth year, but he was flourishing and very famous by mid 17th century. So let's put that 1650, for example. He was very famous. He wrote many other works besides this. Now, what is the importance of his work? Well, as I said, we should be all thankful to him because the Mahabharata that we have today is predominantly because of his hard work of many years, decades of hard work, where he collected every single manuscript he can have his hands on, very similar to what the Bhandarkar researchers at Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute did, say 100 years ago. So that's why this is very important. What you see there is with his commentary. Okay. Now this text is referred by all Mahabharata researchers, including the Bhandarkar Research Institute, who created the critical edition. This is employed by Indologists, and here specifically I'm saying even Western Indologists, because Indians had many access to many other manuscripts, but especially Western Indologists, going back to 1820s, 1830s. Okay. So the Mahabharata, as soon as the Western Europe came in contact with India, they were fascinated by just this whole huge library that they were not even used to. Because if you truly understand, until Darwin came on the scene in the Western Europe, there were few other things such as Herodotus, the history of the world and whatnot. But for otherwise, mostly Bible was the history of the world or history of mankind. So they were totally fascinated. So right, going back into the early 19th century, you can see the Western Indologists making use of this particular manuscript. So many of their views, many of their biases are also coming from this manuscript. Now, it's not this manuscript is responsible for their biased views. They are responsible for their own biased views because they couldn't understand most of it. But now let's talk about the active Mahabharata researchers.
Nilesh, I'll
Okay,
add
now
something here, just
go
a
ahead.
second, because
Please,
see,
please.
one of the important things is, see, like you correctly said, that like my focus is also on the narratives because a lot of wrong narratives are being taught,
Hmm.
and on the basis of which Sanatana Dharma is regularly challenged.
Hmm.
Like one of the things which I debunked was Narada and
Hmm.
Yudhishthir because
Hmm.
both were grossly misunderstood,
Hmm.
even though they were the greatest personalities,
Yeah.
and they are the ones who gave you, like you in your books also, you taken up their shloka and put in the modern landscape. Like
Yes.
you have collected the one of the best slides that you have ever presented to me is the waterless ocean.
Ha. Ha.
Then waterless ocean, that is a very unique thing that you picked up. Very few
Yeah.
people will go there, which you did.
Yeah.
And but it was a beautiful sign of when the oceans are rising and how the water got filled up, and
Yeah.
then you know where was Lanka was, and it also debunks the theory of continents moving
Right.
because you picked up position of so many millions of years back also. So
Right.
I think the point is that narratives also have to be challenged and the dates also have to be challenged because both are intrinsically linked to our faith.
Right. True. True. And this one is also think of another one. I don't know if you have read Freakonomics, Adityaji. It's a right. So there is one chapter about like how the copying was done in the schools to get the scores up and whatnot, and not their fault. The teachers
Mm.
are at hard at work. It is the very artificial system, some of the political system that comes down, like to raise the real estate and whatnot. Anyways, we'll not go there. But the point is, there was a test design that you can find out who is cheating on the exams, because sometimes the wrong answers will be also get copied, correctly. Wrong answer will get copied correctly. The reason I'm just using, just pulling that example, is that last two bullet points that you see. What one mistake, and so we talked all good about Nilakantha Chaturdhar, and I'm going to now walk you through one mistake he did. And he was so attached to that mistake that he kept on taking all other shloka, all other references from Mahabharata, and kept on turning and twisting to adjust to that particular thing that he was convinced that that is it. But what that has done, now that was not necessarily a good thing, but it has created a wonderful system inside the Mahabharata text, and especially his commentary, because everyone wants to refer to his commentary. And the last two bullets, what I'm saying is, that is the cause of 95% of the fake claims. Now, this is, see, that may be the cause. So Nilakantha Chaturdhar may be the cause, but he's not to be blamed. Do you know why? Because he was so fearless, he was so authentic, he was so truthful, that it was his interpretation was wrong. But he was very meticulous in collecting every single reference of Mahabharata. So he did not hide any references. So those references are there in a broad daylight for anyone to see. And actually, I mean, I saw it, many others saw it. But many people, you can, so therefore I'm saying it's a litmus test to find out which Mahabharata researcher has not read Mahabharata. Okay, how beautiful. They cannot fake it. Okay, and so we're going to look at this. So this one, something we have spent a lot of time. We did 4 episodes on the Bhishma Nirvana. So again, hopefully it's a familiar to our audience. Okay, but I'll quickly give you a line. So duration of Bhishma on the bed of arrows. Now that's like a big issue. Now this status quo, the limbo, I'm saying of 300 plus years, I'm referring to that 300 plus is referring to the time of Nilakantha Chaturdhar. So what happened is, and I'm going to show you how it happened. Please bear with me, because part of it is in a Sanskrit. So Mahabharata text is in a Sanskrit, but even his commentary is on a Sanskrit. Okay, so you have to take some of the translations from me on a leap of faith, but you can always go back and verify it. So what you will find is this has become almost a dogma. What is it? From the time Bhishma fell down in the battle, 10th day of the war, to the day of winter solstice, which is Uttarayan, many current Mahabharata researchers, okay, many, in fact, majority, in fact, I would say all of them except one person that you are seeing, Aditya ji and our audience right now, okay, either they don't talk about the duration of Bhishma on the bed of arrows, or if they do talk about it, they refer to these 58 days. And this is a mistake. And this was done as a part of interpretation by Nilakantha Chaturdhar 400 years ago. Okay, but he did not hide the references which give away, which tells you that this is a mistake. Okay, so what is the problem with at least our current researchers? If anyone says Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for 58 days, the person is absolutely making a careless and casual claim. The person has not bothered to read the Mahabharata text. You just take it. I mean, it's an authority of a Mahabharata, authority of Nilesh Oak. You can take it that they have not bothered to read the Mahabharata text. They're just doing some jugaad. Okay, it's a felt claim of 99.9% of the Mahabharata researchers. The failure, okay, now what happened is this. So they say that Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for 58 days. Then they claim a specific year. Then they claim the first day of the war. Once they do that, for that particular year, the day of winter solstice is fixed. Any given year, we can find out exactly when the day of winter solstice was, like, the Uttarayan. Now, if they claim that there were 58 days, there has to be 58 days between their 10th day of the war and the day of winter solstice. Adityaji, just imagine, with the exception of two individuals out of 130 plus, only two individuals can show close to 58 days, maybe 57, 58, 60 or so on. Okay. No other Mahabharata researchers can show that. Now they don't find, I mean, I go and ask them, so you are claiming 58, but you cannot show 58. Like I had a debate at Sangam with Dr. Manish Pandit, so I said, do you claim 58? He says, yes, he claims 58. Actually, for the 10th day of war, for his claim to the day of winter solstice, it is like a 40 days or 43 days. Okay. So it's not 58 days. And that is true for 99% of other researchers. And again, I'm saying the causes they did not bother to read. And even now, as I said, they refuse to read Mahabharata text. I said, guys, go read. You're going to find out more than 92. Now, where did it all start? It started in Varanasi because he was a Maharashtrian Brahmin from the central Maharashtra, like on the bank of Godavari, the Dakshin Ganga in Nagar district. And from there, he went to Varanasi, to the Ganga, the North Ganga, and there he did a lot of work. He was amazingly brilliant mind. But back to this. So now what I'm showing you here is from the Anushasan Parva. Okay, so the highlighted verse you can see, and my apologies since everyone watching this may not be able to read it, but this is that verse. This is that one reference that comes, which was misunderstood by him. And that started this downward trail. Ashtapancha shatam ratriam shayanasyaddya me gata shareshu nishitagreshu yatha varsha shatam tatha. Okay, so I'm lying on the bed of arrows for 58 nights, and then says Magoyam samano prapto masa somyo yudhishthira tribhaga shesha pakshoyam shuklo bhavitu marasi. The point is, this can be understood well in the context, but he took this to mean that Bhishma was truly on the bed of arrows for 58 days. This second verse that I'm showing you here, the Ushitva Sharvari Sriman, see, as a meticulous researcher, he collected that verse, but he missed it in his interpretation. He did not take this verse into account. Do you see number 5? Ushitva Sharvari Sriman Panchashanna Garottame Samayam Kauravasyagram Sasmara Purusharshava. That other highlighted verse, which is saying, after Yudhishthira came back from Bhishma, after discussing everything that he wanted to discuss, he lived in Hastinapur for 50 nights. And when the day of winter solstice came, he went back to Bhishma. Okay. And then we know the whole math of 92 days. We'll not go there. So it started, that whole thing, that litmus test, it was unintentional on his part, but it started right here. Okay, so now what happens, once he made up his mind, see, therefore, Nyaya Darshana says, Pravartana Lakshana Dosha. Only through your actions, the errors can be seen. Therefore, if somebody comes to fight with me, the person does not have his own claim for the year of Mahabharata war. There are trolls all the time, they will come through the YouTube comments, they will come on social media. It says, well, I want to discuss the errors in your research or errors in your claim. I said, that's great. Thank you very much. And what claim do you have? And they said, no, I don't have a claim. I don't need a claim. I said, no, then you don't understand Nyaya Darshana. Then you don't understand science, because science is not about saying something absolute. Science is about more likely versus less likely. And Nyaya Darshana says, Swapratipakša sthapana hino vitanda. Okay, if you want to argue about certain thing with somebody else, you must have your own position. Okay, otherwise there is no point just showing, well, but that, it's like somebody saying my hairstyle doesn't look good. But then I said, so Aditya, so tell me what hairstyle you have in mind for me. You said, oh, that I don't know. Actually, sometime in the corporate world, I have found some, not many. I was lucky. I had great managers, but 1-2 occasions, I have found some managers like that. And I'm sure many of people can relate to that. The person will say, bring me that particular stone that I want. But you say, how does it look? He says, no, just bring me the one I want. Then you think, okay, maybe this is the stone the person wants to see. Something like that. But here, once he made up his mind about 58, now look what he's doing. And I'm going to show you, bring it together. So now, if you remember, those of you who have watched the Bhishma Nirvana, that the war continued for another 8 days, 18 days. So Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for 9 days. Then they did the Preta Kriya after the war was over, and all of them left for the bank of Ganga. That is this beginning of a Shanti Parva.
Correct.
So here he's saying Tatrate su Mahatmano Nyavasa Pandu Nandanaha Shaucham Nivarta Yishanto Masa Matram Bahipurat. So they went outside and stayed on the bank of Ganga for 1 month. Now that 30 days plus 8 days plus 56 days, or those 50 days out of 56, was a problem for that 58. So he goes through this whole entire commentary, okay, to just explain. Sorry, I went to next slide. Just explain. Forgive me. Okay, just explain how it was not a month, but rather it should be only understood as possibly 12 days. Now remember how knowledgeable he is. Okay, not to discount him. Look at what he quotes. He quotes from Manusmriti. He says, Dashaha Dashahachu Date Vipro Dwadashahena Bhupati. If you see here, Vaishya Panchadashahena Shudro Masena Shuddhati. Like how long you should be in that Ashaucha mode. Okay, like after some death happens in the family. And he tries to take that because now Yudhishthir and party is a Kshatriya, Bhupati. So he takes the 12 days. So see, he takes the month-long period and tries to squeeze it into 12 days. Okay. So, so you have to give him a credit that he did pull a reference from somewhere else. Okay. So there is no reason to play with this 30 days number or the month-long number, but he tried to do that because he's convinced that it is 58 days. Okay. Then what happened? But his problems were not over. As we have seen this before, that then after 1 month, Yudhishthir and party, Krishna, Satyaki, everyone came back to Hastinapur. Yudhishthir was crowned as a king. Yudhishthir gave the wealth and whatnot to those people whose family members had been killed or died in the war. Yudhishthir assigned offices, Yudhishthir assigned palaces, and again Krishna reminded him, hey, look, we have to go and meet Bhishma. So they went and met Bhishma, and that is that first day meaning after 9 days, 8 days of the war, plus 1 month, plus few days, and now they go to Bhishma, and that day Krishna tells Bhishma, this is this verse from Shanti Parva 51st Adhyay, Panchashatam Shatchakru Pravira Shesham Dinanam Tava Jivitasya. Now you have additional 56 days to live. Remember, he's stuck on 58. Just like many of our modern Mahabharata researchers are. The only difference is he had done his homework. Mm-hmm. He had known these references. 99.99% of the modern Mahabharata researchers are simply not aware of the references that I'm showing you. Just like that Shanti Parva first reference, they living on the bank of Ganga for 1 month. Nobody. You can go and find their works. You will not find that reference. Now that I bring it to their attention, go ahead.
Actually, and so not only that 30 days, that is also, the Sanskrit part, we had also verified that. They actually went for the search of Kripacharya Ashwathama also. They spent some time there too, because they're searching, running after them. And then Ashwathama went south and...
So I just see for a simplicity, because they are already fighting for 58 versus 92. So I said, okay, ignore it, just ignore those days. You are right. They run away, right? After the last night, and Arjun and Bhim has to go after looking for them and that whole Brahmastra discussion, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's additional time, correct. And therefore I call that as a X. So X. It's like a 9 plus 27 or 30 plus X plus 56, right? But now this 56 is a problem for him, because even if he squeezed 1 month down to 12 days using one verse from Manusmriti, okay, still he has got the 8 days of the war plus 12 days plus some days plus 56. Still he cannot get to 58. So do you know what he does? Something very interesting. And so he almost set a path for many of the Mahabharata researchers of today, who just say, hey, our somebody 400 years ago did that, why I cannot do such things today? Okay, the difference is he knew the references. He was fearless, he was humble, and he was genuinely looking for the uh, truth about the Mahabharata text. You will find that is not the case today. People have so much of a bloated ego, okay, that they have said something about the dating of the Mahabharata war, and now if it is proven false, which is been proven false, they feel as if they are falling on their face. Well, there is nothing like falling on the face in science. In science, the theories get falsified all the time. In fact, when one's theory gets falsified, one should take in a joy in that thing, because of you, because of your theory, a progress in science happened, a growth of knowledge happened. But those are people who don't have that scientific acumen, don't have that logical reasoning, do fall into this trap. So what, going back to Nilakantha Chaturdhar, he's not into the trap, except he is indeed stuck on that 58 days. And therefore, you know what he does? Panchashatam Shat. I will not read the whole Sanskrit thing. His commentary is below in Sanskrit. Somehow, and I don't know, and I have asked this to at least 10 different Sanskrit Pandit. I'm saying, okay, what logic, what basis he's using to take the number 56 and twisting and turning that into 30. But the reason he's doing it is because he is stuck on the 58. So I'll not read the translation, but he says, okay, well, this is not 56. This is as if like a 30. And then he tries to build a chronology from the day of Bhishma, the 10th day of the war, when he fell down, all the way to the winter solstice. Now, he was not trying to find a date. So he never realized the problem of his manipulations. Okay. But today, if you try to do it, you will realize that you will not able to come up with a date, come up with a year which will fit these 58 days and satisfy all other conditions. In fact, as soon as you are committed to 58 days, every single thing, every single attempt of yours to come up with a specific date, specific year for the Mahabharata war will be a disaster. It is given. It's a writing on the wall. Okay. He did not attempt to date, so therefore he did not realize his mistake. But what about the people, like hundreds of these, who are still there today claiming something, and they cannot show 58 days for their timeline between Bhishma and Nirvan? The interesting thing is, even if they can show 58 days, like there are two researchers, one is Saroj Bala from Delhi, another one is Dr. Ashok Bhatnagar. He is, I think, astronomer, I mean, by profession or by study. And he claims 1793 BC. Saroj Bala claims 3140 BC. These two researchers, just by coincidence, end up showing 58 days between their date of Bhishma falling and the day of winter solstice. Now, what is the problem with that? Well, Mahabharata nowhere is actually claiming 58, but rather it is saying it has to be more than 90. Yes, there is that one reference that we looked at the beginning, 58 days, but that is a contextual reference. And I have explained that before in our 4-part Bhishma series. So what is the reality then? Reality is this, and we have discussed this many times too. So Bhishma fell down on the 10th day of the war. Then war continued for an additional 8 days. So that is total of 9 days when Bhishma is on the bed of arrows, even before the war ended. Then, as you said, Adityaji, they went looking for Ashwatthama and Krutavarma and Krupacharya and whatnot. So some time has gone, but I have excluded that because that will just extend further. Then, as I showed you, the Shanti Parva, the first verse, Masam Ekam Bahipura, they went to the bank of Ganga, stayed there for a month, came back as a very conservative number to give a benefit of doubt to the other 130 plus Mahabharata researchers. Instead of 30, I'm taking 27. In reality, it could be 30. So they lived there for a month. They come back to Hastinapur. Few days go by. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, whatever. Not many days. And then they go to see Bhishma. And this is the day.
Along with Dhritarashtra and his wives.
Yes, very true. The first day they go all. Then in between the 4 or 5 days, Yudhishthir goes sometime with his brothers. Yudhishthir goes with Satyaki and Krishna. And on the last day again, which is the day, actually I'll show you here. So then this is the day Krishna says you have 56 more days to live to Bhishma. And within that, as you said, you can find very rich descriptions in the Mahabharata text that tells you what was happening during those 56 days. So for the first 6 days, Yudhishthir is coming back to Hastinapur, going to Kurukshetra in the morning, spending a whole day with Bhishma, coming back. As you said, first day with Dhritarashtra, next day with the Pandavas and Krishna and Satyaki. And on the last day, which is that day of Vishnu Sahasranam, it was Ekadashi day. That was 11th December 5561 BCE. That day again, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, everyone is there. The whole entourage is there.
Kunti is also
And
there.
which means they have almost decided this is the last day. Again, now they are going to come back. Okay. And so therefore, Bhishma recites Vishnu Sahasranam. Krishna recites Shiva Sahasranam. Okay. And now Vyasadeva tells Bhishma that now give permission to Yudhishthira. He seems to be pacified. Everything that you need to discuss has been discussed. Now let him go back. And that is when Bhishma tells him to go back and not return until the sun turns to the north, which means the day of winter solstice. And where we began, that is where Mahabharata tells us, then Yudhishthira went back to Hastinapur, lived there for 50 days. Okay, that is that 50 days. And when the sun turned north, he came back. None of this, see, now to give a credit to Nilakantha Chaturdhar, he preserved every single of this reference, which can build this beautiful timeline. Now, he twisted and interpreted it slightly different because he was stuck in 58. And that's why that Pravartana Lakshana Dosha is important. What I mean by that is the action is important, but taking a position is important. You have to take certain position. Nothing wrong, nothing to worry if you are wrong in that position. But because you took a position, okay, something happened. I'll give you example of a stock market. There are people so scared of it, they will never invest, let's say. Now what happens is, if you never invest, well, guess what? In a paper trade, you might do it and say, oh, okay, I want to buy it today. But you are so scared, you actually don't do it. Now that whatever, the Walmart or the Amazon or Apple, whatever, the stock might go through the roofs over a period of next 10, 20 years. And now you'll feel like, oh my God, I should have bought it. Actually, I made a good decision. No, you did not make a good decision. So the point is, you have to take a position and then test the evidence against that position, and it will tell you whether you're right or wrong. Okay, so that's the important point. Now, to quickly, what is so big deal about this? If you come out of this error of 58 days, suddenly everything fits like a beautiful jigsaw puzzle. The Arundhati walking out of Vasishtha gives you that 6,500-year bracket. And then Siddhartha Chabra, another Hare Krishna devotee, somebody commented that Hare Krishnas are discussing here. No, I'm not a Hare Krishna. I'm very closely associated with the movement, as I am closely associated with many other things. But Siddhartha Chabra, now he just, I don't know if you know this, Adityaji, he recently published a book on Purana.
That's right. Yes.
Through Indic Academy, they sponsored him or they helped him. So he verified my Arundhati Vasishtha observation and actually came up with a very tighter interval. That interval in this purple color, 10,248 BC to this. And now think of this Bhishma Nirvana, this 92 plus days. It fits like a pieces of beautifully solved jigsaw puzzle. That's how precious, how accurate and precise is the evidence of the Mahabharata text. Not only that, now if you look at additional evidence from the Mahabharata text, the month in which the war took place, the season when the war took place. I mean, we have dozens and dozens and sometimes hundreds of these descriptions in the Mahabharata text, and they give you another tighter interval and another tighter interval. And then if you look additional evidence, it takes you to that 5561 BCE, and you have no reason whatsoever to get stuck into this 3000 BC bracket. Sometime, I'm doing the episodes with Jeevan Rao, but I'm sure at one point Jeevan Rao will come on Sattology show and he will walk you through his beautiful research, amazing research that he has done. And we have gone through this too, so I'll go fast. With the exception of this last thing, which is the Arundhati Vasishtha, number 8, the other 7 I call this poison pills, 8 poison pills. Okay. They are a product of this Bhishma Nirvana. Okay. They are product of this Bhishma Nirvana evidence, and so impeccable that even if any particular claim misses on any of those 8, including Arundhati Vasishtha, that claim cannot be the claim of the Mahabharat war. That evidence is that impeccable. Okay. All right. And so with that, I'm done. Again, these are my books. If you are in India through Subbu Publications, you can go online and buy the combo package. By the way, I should mention some good news there, that there is suddenly like a stock market skyrocketing. There is a huge sale of these books going on. I don't know what happened. Partly it could be some of the things. I don't know if you received a message in a WhatsApp group of any kind. I'm not on many WhatsApp group, but somebody started this telling about my research to people at large, and those messages are floating around with a few other videos. And so the sale has skyrocketed. So please order and get your book if you're in India. However, please be patient, because my publisher told me that they might run out of what you call the existing print run for certain things. Okay, not a problem if you are outside India, because Amazon has their print on demand. You can order as many as you want, and they will still fulfill with a prime service the next day, or whatever, the 2-day service. So that's that. So I will stop it here, Aditya ji. And so this, what we discuss is Nilakantha Chaturdhar, and what he did creates the foundation. Because of him, I would say today we have Mahabharat, or at least the way we have Mahabharat. We might have lost a lot of it through all the Islamic oppression. So
the great point, and his books, I have seen them, and great research. But again, the point which you brought out about his book, that one fixated on one viewpoint. As an analyst, you should try to see all types of evidences before you make a
yes,
conclusion.
yeah,
Otherwise, because this dating, I'll call it the dating thing, is so complex. Not everybody has an interest in that. So you have to, for people, this dating is extremely important because of the dates and the misinformation being spread. Now, these dates change everything.
correct. It
Change
changes the context. It changes the context for philosophy, bhakti, science, culture, technology, medicinal developments, even human development, psychology, philosophy, everything.
Everything, it changes, and also it puts the historical events that have occurred from our point of view in a completely different bracket altogether.
Right.
Because they see, again, which you said, taking a position. The Western society has taken a position of 2500 BC, and they're fixed on that. They are not changing, and they have no basis for that also. But they are not changing, and they are forcing the rest of the world to compare from that. Our epoch is the passing of Krishna. That is
Correct.
one epoch is we have, which is very constant. Second epoch is the appearance of Buddha.
Yeah.
But between these two, this is the kind of analysis which is going to lead to that kind of setting of those dates.
Correct.
And then the entire chronology of kings change.
Yes.
Based on that, right till the time of Vishwas Purji. Vishwas Purji is probably the first Gupta king, maybe, or the last after the Shunga, Shishunag, all those dynasties after that. So it changes everything, and I think this is a great analysis on the dates actually. And the Siddharth Chabria's book, I did see that, and his dates are also matching what you're saying pretty much.
Okay, I have not seen the book yet, and I have not seen the book, but I've seen the cover. I have seen the cover of the book. Yeah, and so what we will do in this series is, next time we will begin with the Poorva paksha of the self-evident claims of Western Indologists.
Correct.
Like likes of Sheldon Pollock or likes of Hopkins. Hopkins would say 400C and Sheldon Pollock would say 150C. And you say, oh, how did you arrive at this? And or why these claims are correct? And you know what they would say? Especially Sheldon Pollock has said that, well, I say that is correct because I think so. That is the evidence. And if I can find the 30-second clip, I don't know where to find it, but if I find it, I will, we can show it. We can show it to the audience.
Not only that, there are some other Mahabharata researchers also do the same mistake. Instead of giving references, they say, I said this, but
Yeah.
there's no evidence for that. Or they
Yeah,
don't want to show it, or they don't have it. But anyway,
correct.
great discussion as usual. And Poorva Paksh is extremely important, extremely important. And I think you chose the right discussion topic. So keep watching, and also check on the narratives. Also, narratives and dates go together, because if the narrative
Yes.
because this is entirely a narrative game just to discredit you, that your history was not that old, and what you have been taught is the incorrect sequence of events. Mostly that is political driven, trying to tell you how you should view your own history. And I think the trying to know, we have to discern ourselves, that what is right, what is wrong, what is logically fits in, what doesn't logically fit in. So thank you, Nilesh, as usual. Brilliant presentation.
Thank you. Thank
and
you,
uh,
everyone.
and do watch it on YouTube and subscribe. Namaskar.